You wanted it. We wanted it. Everyone wanted it. And now we will get it. Tyrone Woodley announces that he will rematch Stephen Thompson, Wonderboy, at UFC 209. There was a back and forth about this because I think Tyrone Woodley was one that was immediately after that fight. We were sitting merely 2 or 3 rows away from him as he was, in a way, goading the idea, I want to fight Conor McGregor. He was there. He was asking us in the press conference, do you guys want to see it? I want to see it. He was selling himself. But I think deep down, as much as everyone was thinking, yeah, that's a good idea, deep down everyone was thinking, no, that was a badass fight we just witnessed, and we want to see it happen again.
It was a draw.
Exactly.
You have no choice. There was zero other fight to make. If there's a draw, you have to rematch. That's just I don't know, it's the most common rule in the book of life. Well, Wonderboy, somehow, we watched that, it was third round, he somehow survives 4 minutes of pretty much being choked the hell out by Tyrone Woodley, and everyone kept saying, now watch Woodley, he's going to be dehydrated, his enormous upper body is not going to be able to continue to throw, he's going to be exhausted, and Wonderboy just got enough in throughout those last rounds to really make a case, and it was a draw. And that's also when Bruce Buffer made his announcement, we have a correction.
Yeah, we have a correction because it was a draw. So this was announced via Woodley's podcast, The Morning Wood Show. Great name. All-round great name. So this is what we have in terms of the context for it. March 4th, UFC 209 in Las Vegas, Nevada, at what I believe to be the T-Mobile Center. You will see Wonderboy get the worst ass-whooping of his life. Woodley continued, and hopefully all of his fans and all of his over-entitlement deceases at that moment.
Right.
And we can do a eulogy for it. So he's talking some smack, and this is funny because this is where we talk about this orchestrated fake rivalry that sometimes comes around in the UFC when two guys really like each other but they try to sell more tickets. We basically seen both of these guys after the fight talk about how much they appreciated each other's efforts, but I think Woodley now has realized that ain't going to sell on tickets. You got to get in there. You got to make it seem that you don't like the guy and you want to whip him around.
I don't know what kind of entitlement he's talking about.
Yeah.
They drew.
Exactly.
Like, it's not. Although, what's very interesting about that draw, and by the way, the bigger question here that I want to get to, so there's 2 things I got to speak on. One is this is a headlining fight that the fans of MMA, and even casual fans of MMA, should be very excited about, because they're very polarizing figures. And no, they don't talk trash the same way that McGregor does. They don't do movies the same way that Rousey does. And they don't do WWE and beat The Undertaker and end the streak like Brock Lesnar does. And when we talked about recently how the UFC broke a pay-per-view record set by Mike Tyson in terms of doing 1 million plus pay-per-view buys, we were talking about how some of those fights didn't involve necessarily McGregor or Rousey, but of course they were dominated in terms of the best-selling shows. So my curiosity is the UFC has gained so much steam, right? And it's going into 2017 now with full speed ahead. And I'm wondering, is this a fight that can break 1 million pay-per-view buys? And if it does, then the UFC is poised to start making superstars that can start at least getting closer to that of the untouchables. And I mean that by those who really sell the fights. Because this card, top to bottom, is, Alistair Overeem versus Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt's an interesting case, but the last time Mark Hunt was more interesting was because he was fighting
Brock Lesnar. And do you know the funny thing about Mark Hunt? I was just ready to go. Well, no, but he keeps picking fights against the most obscene-looking human beings.
Oh,
have you seen what Alistair Overeem looks like?
Of course, yes. He's enormous.
Have you seen what Alistair Overeem looks like?
I've stood next to Alistair Overeem before, and it's really tough because when you feel like a 5-year-old at the park with their dad.
That's it. And Mark Hunt is a veteran.
Actually, I might be the same height as him, but still, he's just...
Mark Hunt's a veteran, right? And he knows how to use his, let's say, flabbier physique in comparison to some of these just huge guys.
He's a significantly strong striker, but he got ground and pounded by
Brock Lesnar. And Overeem is the guy who, I think the video that circulated millions of times of the UFC fight card girl who was standing behind him, and when he took his shirt off, she was just like, and the internet went wild because she just couldn't take her eyes off him, and I can't blame her. I wouldn't either. The guy's huge. But the card overall is an interesting one. I'm not coming in to see Overeem Hunt. I mean, I will watch it, seeing it, but at this point, I would say moving past the initial stage of bandwagon fanboy who's came in, always loved the sport, but definitely have become more of a fan from McGregor, to just see this fight, which was everything that makes this sport great was someone who is aesthetically humongous, looks like he has everything that is necessary to win a fight, come up against a force that doesn't look anywhere near the same in terms of athleticism. Wonderboy right next to Woodley doesn't look as if he can compare, but he has the heart, he has the grit, he has the technique, he has the tenacity, and that come up against each other. And what we witnessed on that night was remarkable. He's
so strange in his fighting style. It's all unorthodox. It's like what they don't teach you.
I'm gonna throw out a comparison you're gonna love.
If you use a Rocky reference.
No, Wonderboy fights the way Kevin Durant plays basketball.
Yeah, it's actually really similar. It's like the lanky limbs.
It's just like
he has ball handles like a point guard.
Yeah, you're just like, wait, how is he doing this? How is he doing this?
Wonderboy scores 30 in his sleep.
And Wonderboy didn't blow a 3-1 lead. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He did. He talking about Thunder. But no one realized that.
No, it's one of those. It's again, I look at this and I go, I hope this does break 1 million pay-per-view buys. I think this is the type of headlining fight that we know will cause the crowd to be on their feet. We watched it happen at UFC 205, and in general, to go along with that, this has all the star power that the UFC is going to take into 2017. We talked about Cody Garbrandt and his ability to fight the bantamweight division and so many other little elements that if the UFC starts to stockpile superstars, not only are you going to get more spread out cards of amazing fights with also good fights below it in prelims, you're going to start getting so much momentum that it will start hitting maybe a little bit wider of a age range, because I still think UFC is a millennial sport.
Yeah.
I still think that. I think boxing is still in the minds of the
veterans?
the CNN audience.
Yeah. All right, well, we want to know what you guys think. Are you looking forward to Tyrone Woodley versus Wonderboy 2? We are looking forward to it. It is taking place March 4th, UFC 209 in Las Vegas in the T-Mobile Arena.
I'll be there.
Hopefully so. And the last point to take away from it is that Woodley is definitely not approaching this, I think, in the same sort of mellow fashion. His last quote on this thing was, "This is a new fight, the most important fight in my life. Yep. And from this point going forward, I'm going to commit to taking this dude out in the most embarrassing and worst fashion." You heard it here. Come back and subscribe. TYT Sports goes a long way. Jason Rubin 91, Francis _Maxwell. And we'll see you guys soon.
I've been waiting for something better.